Welcome back to Big Fish in the Middle Kingdom, part of the Migration Media Network. I'm Brendan Davis, your host, and this week's guest is Meredith Sides. Meredith is the co-owner and proprietress of Naked Nut Butters, which is what it sounds like. It's a company that actually makes nut butters, like almond butter and things like that. She's based here in Beijing. She's been here 7 years, and I gotta say, she's one of the most naturally funny people who I've gotten the pleasure to talk to on this show. I did not know her personally before this. We're part of this same group on WeChat that we talk about a bit in the actual episode, and I always saw her sense of humor through there, and we got to chatting about something. And bottom line is that she listens to podcasts, so she's listened to the show before. And actually, she mentioned listening to How China Works, which was fun. And yeah, I decided, let's get her on the show. She's a lot of fun. I had a great time with this. I'm a little unfocused as I record this, can you tell? Mostly because I need to eat dinner, which is more information than I would usually share with you. But also, I'm so busy with the production of my other show that I did not write down this intro. So I'm kind of free-forming it. The other show I mentioned, of course, is How China Works, the show I'm doing with Ying Li. And I'm going to say that's the sponsor of this show because you know what? That's what I'm doing with all my other energy that I'm not using to record this intro right now. So if you haven't yet, please check out HowChinaWorksPodcast.com to learn about that show. You can find out all the information you want about Meredith and Naked Nut Butters via the links in the show notes for this show. That blog post will be up at crazyinagoodway.com by the time you're listening to this. Thank you for listening, and now let's get into our interview with Meredith Sides. Well, I'm here already having a great conversation with Meredith Sides, so we should probably say hi. Hi, how you doing, Meredith?
Good, how are you?
I'm great. It's a pleasure to have you here in Big Fish Central.
Thanks for having me. I'm sorry my hands are sweaty. We just shook hands.
Would you like a tissue?
No. I'm going to keep them
here's
sweaty.
one anyway.
Thanks.
Okay, if you want it. Okay, sweet. So we'll keep this relatively unedited because that's kind of fun. We have a traditional first question here at Big Fish, which is, please tell us the short version of who you are, where you're from, and for you, why China, and then we'll unpack that.
Okay, who am I? Where am I from? Why China?
In whatever order or fashion you wish to approach that question.
Oh boy, interesting.
No pressure.
I'm going to go, I feel pressure.
Sweet.
I'm going to go in the order that you presented them.
That's usually a good choice.
Yeah, okay. I'm Meredith. You're yawning already. You hate my name.
Okay, she's busting my chops. I know I'm like a Northeastern guy, and you're
busting your chops and shouting chops.
I know. No, I'm not sleeping much, and I'm very excited to have you.
I know you're a busy boy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Meredith.
Yeah, busy is the new black.
But that's what they say. They always say that. I forget that a lot.
But Meredith, I'm seriously glad to have you in here because you were always a lot of fun in the shared WeChat group where I met you, and that's getting ahead of ourselves. So please tell folks, who the hell are you? And then we'll go there.
All right. I'm Meredith. I'm from the East Coast of the U.S. I was born and raised, that's already a lie. I wasn't born and raised in Maryland. I was born in Florida, raised in Maryland.
Oh, Florida. What part?
Lake City.
I strangely know it. Okay.
Really? Okay, I know nothing about it, so.
That's fine. Right. It's probably for the best, actually.
Yeah, I think so. And I went to college in Philly. And then from there, when I graduated in 2011, I decided to come to China with a couple of my friends to teach English for a year before going to med school.
Okay, as you do.
As one does, as is the typical path. So I came, and then after a year, I was like, oh, I really like Beijing. Maybe I'll just stay like 2 years. Mm-hmm. And then 2 years, I was like, okay, maybe I'll do, because 3 is a weird number, I'll do 5 years.
Right, 4 is unlucky here. So,
yeah, you don't want to do 4.
Yeah, right.
So I was like, okay, I'll just shoot straight to 5.
Cool.
And then after 5 years, I started my own company. And so then it's been about 7+ years, and I'm still here. Maybe I'll die here. It's yet to be determined.
That's an optimistic outlook.
Yeah, thank you.
But you got to look at these things rationally.
Yeah, always, every day.
So it could happen after this. This could be the in memoriam. Let's not go there.
Oh my God! What if this is
Jesus? for me and you both. In a tragic podcasting accident.
It happens all the time.
That might be a first, though. A tragic podcasting accident.
You don't know that. That's something that Google would know.
There's probably some Eli Roth horror film involving a podcast gone very, very wrong.
Oh my God.
Jeez. Well, so how do I recover from that? So Maryland, we discussed. I don't know how much that's. That's from whence you came. That shaped you in what ways did Maryland?
Oh,
you're from the shore-ish part, as I understand.
I'm
which
from the eastern
I know
shore.
that means that it's near water.
It is. A shore is near water. I'm from the eastern shore, so I grew up in a rural farming community, kind of. but kind of near the ocean, but right on a river. How did that shape me? Well, it's like a very small town feel. So people, when they graduate high school, not
get
a
pregnant.
ton of them. Yes.
Sorry.
Or in high school before they graduate.
I'm not judging.
No. They there's nothing to do. So they get pregnant and or do drugs maybe at the same time. So I chose not to do that.
Okay.
So I went to college, and I think because I grew up in a small town, just like surrounded by farms and pregnancy and drugs, I was like, well, I'm going to go to a city. Not that there aren't drugs and pregnancies in cities, but there are less farms.
Copy that, right?
Yeah.
That's the difference, really.
Yeah, so that's why I decided to go to university.
In the city.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So that's why I decided to go to Philly for university, and then
University of Pennsylvania?
St. Joseph's University.
Sounds like okay, cool.
Yeah, so it's okay. Nobody knows it except for the people that go there. It's not a big deal.
I know you couldn't tell, so she could totally tell, just for the record.
No, he was yawning the whole time.
I'm not yawning. I'm catching my breath. There's a difference. It's a subtle difference.
We're walking up and down stairs right now. What people don't know, they can't see it, but we're actually walking up and down stairs.
I have a state-of-the-art microphone that's muffling the vibration of walking. We're on the Stairmasters, actually.
Yeah, we are on Stairmasters side by side.
We're sitting in comfortable chairs in a dimly lit room with a microphone. So how did you get so funny? Let's just jump way off the narrative. Because you are funny, no pressure.
Wow. That's true.
I feel like I could say this because I'm known to be someone who knows funny things sometimes. Yeah. How did you develop a sense of humor, do you think? Were you always kind of a funny little chuckle monkey person?
A funny little chuckle monkey. Yeah, I think so. I think because my family is funny.
Okay, that's important.
Well, everyone except for my sister.
Okay. Does she know she's not funny?
She's going to find out. If she listens to this, she's going to find out.
Dear sis, sorry.
You're not funny.
But that's okay.
No.
You can still be a nice person. Is she a nice person?
She is. Okay, good. She's wonderful.
Good. Thank
she's
God,
super smart.
She's not funny and she sucks.
Yeah, she's like funny, but I'd say she's not as funny as me, my brother, my mom and
no pressure.
Dad. Yeah.
No pressure.
That's fine.
But yeah, so you from a funny family.
From a funny family.
Okay. Well, onomatopoeia.
Yep.
Okay. So would that factor into your trajectory at all? Or is that just something I'm jumping off the narrative with?
Boy, what a strange question I've never been asked before. Would being funny... I actually forgot the question.
The question...
It's so weird I forgot it.
Wow. I'll leave this in for the sake of just owning up to the fact that sometimes it goes here, folks. It really does. So let's get back to the narrative because this will come back around. It was a question about it being funny.
Know where we went.
I don't really because I think that's just more of an observation.
Okay.
But because that's part of what I noticed, couldn't help but notice. So let me get this out of the way since I've referenced it now twice without dropping the bomb here. There is a WeChat group that we're both part of, that you've been, like, I guess you're kind of OG in, and I'm relatively recent, last 4 or 5 months. But there's a Americans group on WeChat. Right. And on WeChat, as anyone who listens to the show, like roughly half the audience is China-ish folks, so they know this. And then the other half, if they listen to the show, they know about WeChat anyway. Okay. But they may or may not be in the world of the groups, right? There may be people who are just casually. And so there are these affinity groups, and you can have one, hey, we like to play lacrosse, or we like to go drink, binge drinking, or hey, we like to be this or that or the other, or we're all from the Netherlands, and so we're in an American group. And there are a lot of those. Yeah. And some of them have a very distinct character, such as the MAGA Bros one that I got sucked into, that I pulled the plug on that twice. They kept inviting me back. MAGA Bros. It wasn't called that. Oh. I don't want to be too more specific. A very nice guy invited me, but then they're just some real super, red hat guys, and I campaign for Bernie, so it's not my team. Yeah. I'm sorry if I'm offending you already.
I'm not offended. No.
Sweet. So I'm way off the plot, but back to the point. We met in a very non-politically focused sort of group of Americans who are glad to be Americans but not be jerks about it, basically. Right. Yes. So it was my speed. Yes. So that's where I met. And Meredith here, that's you. That's me. Speaking about it in third person. You're known for your product and your company, and you would promote it in a fun way, not in a promo-y, irritating way, but you would promote it in very funny little ways. And so I started noticing you. So what is your product? What do you make? So actually our company is called Naked Nut Butters. And that's so that in itself is, it just lends itself to funny promotions. So we make nut butter. As you do.
As one does. It's a company I've had for 2 years with my business partner, and we have our own factory. We work with an NGO. We are a social enterprise. I can hear kids yelling out in the hallway.
Can you? I'm going to catch my breath. This is not young.
Just a lot of stairs. We're on like the
Wow.
20th floor by now. It's
I'm just old and fat, listeners.
No, it's fine. I'm wearing my Skechers just for today.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So kids in the hall.
So kids in the hall.
So how we come up with? I mean, now I can infer some things.
You want to know how?
I also went to college. Where'd you come up with naked part?
Okay, so there are 2 reasons. One of the reasons we have to feel out the person before we explain to them why we're called naked.
Okay.
So we see what kind of person they are,
How
and
cool
then we
they are.
Okay. How down they can get. So.
Sweet.
The first one, they're both true.
I burned one with Snoop once, so maybe.
Did you really?
I did. That's another story.
Oh my God! So did I.
Trying to. That's not even a humble brag. That's just. Anyway,
that's just a straight up.
It's
brag.
a random. It came up in a conversation earlier, so it's in my brain.
Yeah.
Please continue, Meredith.
Oh, so there are 2 reasons. They're both true. The first one, the G-rated version reason. I'm going to put this tissue down.
That's fine.
The G-rated version is we're called naked because we use all natural ingredients, and it's just very healthy, simple, earthy. So bare, naked.
Copy that. Okay. And then what's the real version?
And that's real. That's real as well.
It's like a jokingly smaller and less funny. Please continue.
And then the other reason is my business partner and I met when we actually moved in together. Because we had a mutual friend. We were all looking for a place. We're like, let's live together. So she and I met then. When we started our company, we would blend the nut butter on our balcony. So like the balconies here in China, as you know, are mostly enclosed.
Right.
I don't know why they're called balconies, but it's just like a little side room that's enclosed.
Yeah. It's almost like a little sunroom, and it's usually that's for people. There aren't really. It's very uncommon to see a clothes dryer here, so that's usually where people have some kind of a rack, either a thing that rolls down from the ceiling, or that's what you put your standing rack to dry your clothes.
Yeah, that's right.
And so it's in the sun.
Yeah, it's in the sun.
But enclosed because pollution, because theft, because.
So we would put the blenders out on the balcony because that's where we had the most space, and we would blend the nut butters there.
Yeah.
And so we started this company at the end of summer, like end of July, August, September. It was super hot.
Copy that. Okay. I might know where this is going and why you said it's R-rated.
There you go.
All right.
So it got really hot, so we were like, well, F it. Our neighbors aren't home during the day when we are, so we're just going to go out in, our skivvies.
There you go.
And blend some nut butter.
As you do.
As one does.
Wow.
And so, that's another reason why we called it naked.
That's a pretty great story.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So this is an origin story that's, going to be one for the record books, I think.
One for the record books.
So in terms of this business, this was not your goal in life, I guess it's fair to say, going back to our pregame chat, was not to make nut butters on a balcony in Beijing in your underoos. You had other plans going into your life. What did you want to be when you grew up back in the day?
Well, I always wanted to be so many different things, but I thought that I wanted to do something in the medical field because my mom's a nurse, my dad's a doctor, my sister's a nurse, so that seemed like my path. And I was like, okay, I could be a doctor. I like biology. It's cool. But after coming here and living here for a couple of years, I realized I really do not want to do that because that sounds terrible.
Why did that sound terrible?
Well, first of all, I don't like body parts. Like, I hate veins.
Okay.
Right. So if people touch their own
people
veins.
Have them, yeah.
But everybody seems to have them, and it's so gross. And if people touch their own veins, I get really grossed out. I can't even look at it. Like needles, I can't get down with needles. Okay.
So there's a couple red flags here.
Yeah. But I was like, oh, it's fine. I'll get used to it. But even thinking about it now makes me feel dizzy.
Okay.
So that, and then, I was just like, I just don't. I think it's a wonderful career for sure for people who want to do it, but it was just not for me.
Sure.
Yeah. So I always thought, okay, well, there's, you either work to live or you live to work. And I thought, okay, maybe I'll just be the person who works to live. Like, I'll have a job that I like. Maybe I'm not passionate about it. Mm-hmm. But, it'll let me do other things in my life that I am passionate about.
Sure.
And I won't be miserable going to work every day. So then I did that for a couple of years when I was in China, and then starting this company, I was like, oh man, I am because I am the most passionate person in the world about nut butter.
This is legit. This references the fun and well-timed, not pushy, but when there's an opportunity to drop a little nut butter love, it's coming out of your mouth on the group.
Oh, yeah.
So what was it about that, though? Is that a product that, did you have some that, like you have one sometime that just, like, blew you away? Like, wow, this is so good, I'd love to make my own, and then there you go. How did you get this passion for what you do?
Well, it was kind of, I've always eaten nut butter. Okay. And then since moving to China, because they don't really have good nut butter here, they have the classic, like, Skippy, maybe one or two other kinds, but not really.
Yeah, I've got that brand in my fridge that's from like one of the fancy expat. That was a gift, but that's probably like a stupid amount of money.
So rude. I will throw it away before I leave.
Sorry.
It's fine.
What did you bring me replacement?
I did not.
That's why we have the shipping. Anyway, go ahead. But so yes, it's very rare to find one that's not just a super generic mass produced.
Right, and like
probably
also just,
not really
like full of. I mean, okay. I'm going to say full of sugar and hydrogenated oils. I could totally eat.
You say that like it's a bad thing.
I could totally eat hydrogenated oils and sugars and salts. Actually, we're doing it right now as we climb the stairs. We're eating a bucket of hydrogenated oil. But every time I went to the States, like going to the States when you live in China is so exciting. Just going in grocery stores because you see all the new stuff that people are coming up with, and there's so much food, and you're like, this is so great. Like, oh man, they have like deep fried Pop-Tarts or like edible cookie dough.
Wow,
it's like so awesome. So I would go back and there's like 20 different kinds of nut butter, like cinnamon almond butter or like honey peanut butter or cashew butter or hazelnut butter, like all this stuff. So I would bring back at least half a suitcase full of just nut butter jars because I couldn't get it here and I loved it. And I would sit in bed here. Like I would go out, have a little drink, have a little drinky drink, and then get in bed and just spoon it out of the jar to my face because I loved it so much. It was like eating ice cream. Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing, but
that's
it's
okay. It makes for good radio, though.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to put that image. I appreciate the caveat.
Her face showed she was aware that she was revealing a moment, but it's good that you put the little audio cap on that. Yeah, appreciate that.
So then I just ate it so much and just loved it so much, and I actually can't remember what the question is, but
you actually answered it in spades, which was how did you actually answered the lead up to the passion part, which was you loved it and you discovered it on a trip home that wow, this is this whole world of nut buttery goodness that I didn't even know such a thing could exist, and look, there's flavors. So and then they didn't have it here. They didn't have the good. So is that what led to you starting to like, mash up your own and your
and then my now business partner, Katie, who I was living with at the time, she honestly came in so many mornings when I was in bed and I had like an empty jar of nut butter beside me or like a spoon with like half of, a spoonful of peanut butter on it. And she was like, Meredith, this is so weird. You spend so much money doing this and you eat it so much. She's like, I bet we could just make it. Wow. And so we tried making it and we brought it to some really small flea markets to see if anyone else liked it. And then I remember I was talking with a friend of mine and I was telling him, really getting into this nut butter thing and I'm not sure if I should go for it because I've heard starting a business is super hard. I don't know if I want to do that.
Maybe you should see a therapist. Just like, what are your options?
Yeah. Should I just get bangs? Like, what is my life crisis that I'm having right now?
That is funny. Damn.
So, and he said, Meredith, no one believes in peanut butter quite like you do. And I was like, wow, that is beautiful.
I think I can testify to
that. That is deep. Yeah. And I was like, all right, I'm just going to go for it. And then I realized that I'm not the type of person where it's work to live. Like now that I have my own company, I love it. It's like stressful, tiring, exciting. Like I get to learn new things. Like I'm definitely the type of person for this. Like I will live to work. So this is my passion.
Awesome.
Passion.
That is an awesome origin story.
Thank you.
I dig it. So, and for anybody listening who's not quite as passionate, although I think you're probably winning some converts here. I am curious, like, give us the super short version of what is actually the process. I mean, is it literally, because the ones I see that, are claimed to be the healthiest, like one ingredient. It's just the mashed up nuts. I mean, how do you make this stuff, basically? Do you mash up a bunch of the nuts?
So you just get a handful of nuts, and then you put your other hand on top, and then you just squeeze.
Now, see, when you say it like that, I think you're being sarcastic.
Am I?
I don't know. But that is basically the simplified version of the process, is you basically get a bunch of the nuts and you clean them the right way, and then you squish them. And do they have to sit a certain time, or is there any cooking involved?
Honestly,
is it
it's
sitting and their juices and stirring it a lot?
Is sitting
like what's the? I mean, you have a factory, so
it depends on what. Like, it's not one simple answer.
Sure.
Like, all nut butter is different.
How about an example?
Nut butters are like snowflakes. Everyone is different.
Everyone is one. Give me a simple example so that I can wrap my.
So the way we used to make it, you take some nuts.
When you're on the patio and you're making it.
We're on the balcony in our skivvies.
Got it.
Take some nut butter. Put it in a blender. You can roast it first.
Okay.
I mean, take some nut butter. No, don't take some nut butter.
butter.
You take the nut butter out of the Skippies jar. You put it in the blender. You re-jar it as your own.
And then sweet. All right. Success.
That's it. No, you take nuts. You can roast them first.
Copy that.
Then you put them in the blender. You blend them for a really long time. You got to keep stirring. Then you can add some ingredients. And then you take it out of the blender and put it in a jar.
So that's the process. So do you go through a lot of blenders in the early days?
Oh, I think we went through like 20 to 30 blenders.
What's the best blender for the home nut butter enthusiast?
Oh, it would probably be like one of those fancy ones, like a Blendtec or a Vitamix. We never use those because, we were blending on a budget, so we couldn't do that. So, but we had some nice blenders, Chinese versions.
So now you have like the industrial.
Yeah, it's thing. Just actually no. We have a factory, but it's just a room full of blenders.
Oh, all right.
It's not. That would be so terrible.
Why would that be terrible?
Because what's the point of having? It's just a big room with just blenders in it. It's not that.
That's kind of fun though.
It's just one big bathtub, and you pour the nuts in, and then all the workers like mash with their feet.
With their feet?
Yeah.
Nice. So it's kind of like an old.
So there is added salt, but like it's from skin.
This is
skin
getting
salt.
pretty. Wow. Amazingly, I'm not quite as ready to try this. I know you're kidding, yet I'm going to remember that.
Yeah.
Before, so you're replacing, and I wasn't being not in a pervy way. I saw like the girls in their underwear having fun laughing. I had that kind of a playful, fun image, and now it's replaced with like callousy feet.
Oh no!
With skin coming off.
No, they still are in their underwear.
Okay.
We require that in the factory. There are definitely still pillow fights, and people are giggling all the time.
Sweet. And there's slow motion shots.
They're always in slow motion.
With a great soundtrack.
Yeah.
Like
everything's in
80s
slow motion.
pop songs.
Mm-hmm. It's just a montage, and then we end up with just one jar of nut butter, but it takes us like a month.
I'm speechless.
No, it's great. So every jar of nut butter is very special.
Very nice. So in reality, I mean, you probably don't want to talk like trade secrets here, but can you give me an idea of the scale of this enterprise? Like how many? Because where are you? You're in.
We are in Sichuan.
Like hippie stores, health food stores, farmers markets.
Where do we sell?
Where are you?
I can't answer that. Honestly, right now I'm in a stairwell, and we're on the 25th floor. Sweet. Because we've been walking up and down.
I know. It's crazy.
It's a lot of stairs.
Yeah. And what's funny is I hope your friends are as amused by this as I am, because that's the only people listening at this point.
It's funny you would think that I have any friends to listen to this. It's just going to be you and I just listening to this.
These are some of the most fun ones, though. 10% of the people will say this is one of their favorite ones. So hi to you folks.
Hi, 10%.
Hi, everybody.
Is 1%.
Hi, everybody. So, so kind of, again, I want to protect the fact that you don't want to probably say exactly the massive scale of your enterprise. But where are you guys? Like, where is it as a business right now? You're still growing it.
Yes.
For sure.
Because we've only had our factory in production since June. We have an online shop. We have in a few offline stores, and we have it in a yoga center. We have it in a couple of gyms. And then we just sell at events. But mostly through our online shop is where people buy it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to get off of this in a second. Mm-hmm. I'm not trying to belittle your life's work, of course. I'm saying I want to talk more about you. And you said a few things in our pregame that I want to follow up on. But in terms of this company, where do you sort of see yourself going with this? I mean, just bigger, better, more? Or is there a specific other, branch out into, yoga mats or something? Or
yoga mats made of nut butter.
That's okay.
It's slippery, but it's a delicious exercise.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So now the real answer?
We want to be the nut butter queens of Asia. We would like to expand out of China. We want to have a lot of really good, interesting flavors, specifically catered to that local taste.
Like
so
regional
maybe,
taste wherever you
yeah,
are.
so maybe in China, it's like a mala peanut butter, like a little Sichuan spicy peanut butter. And
That sounds pretty good, actually.
yeah, and then what do they eat in the Philippines? It's like, what's the thing with the bird and the egg? It's like a baby bird that they eat. It's
That sounds familiar-ish.
Because
but
of bee. Anyway, we're going to have
yeah,
that
you
as
have
a flavor
that.
for
The baby
sure.
bird egg nut butter.
Yes,
Okay.
for sure.
Sounds
in Japan,
sounds delicious.
ramen and sushi flavored nut butter in Japan. I mean, I could go
So
on
now
and
I
on,
don't
but
think you're. See, I
no,
thought
but
you were
the first-
serious.
The first part
one
was serious
real.
until I got to the
and then it went
Philippines.
okay. Then it got funny. Sometimes I need a roadmap of this.
I know.
So you said something you said a few things that were interesting, not just the one. It's going to sound like that if we don't qualify. You had a really interesting take on Beijing and what it means to you, which I thought was refreshing because, part of why I bailed as quick as I saw the character of that other group that shall not be named on WeChat, which was very much, I should say, not very politically woke. And not that I'm trying to wear that as a label because who am I? But it was very much like not respecting the place they are, and they were trying to be more like global citizen-y folks, which is the nature of the people who get on this show.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So what's it like for you living in Beijing?
Well, it's like you and I were talking about before. I mean, every time I go home, because my original intention was to come here just for a year, maybe 2, to take a break and then go back home. Mm-hmm. So even now, 7+ years later, people ask me when I go home, like, when are you coming home? When are you going to move back to the States? This kind of thing. But what they don't understand is that this is actually my home. Yeah. Like, as soon as I graduated university, I moved here. And so becoming who I am as an adult has been in Beijing, and I've shaped, I've become a certain way because of Beijing. So this is my home. So, so I love it here, and I might leave eventually. I might die here, as we said earlier. Hopefully not today.
Hopefully not anytime soon, yeah.
But we'll see. But yeah, so, it's my home.
What is it that you like? I don't know. I'm saying all these like the first time I said any of these words. What is it that you like so much? What is it?
I'm holding up
I got
the
my
script
speaking
for you.
spell. I have my speaking spell under the glass table.
Just etch a sketch
countertop
the
by our
question.
Stairmaster. What is it that you know the question? I can't ask.
What
a
is
question.
it that you like so much about Beijing?
Answer that, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number one would be the freedom that I have here, which I think is a weird thing to say because people think China and they think that's not a very free place. Like, people can't, and in some ways it's not very free. I mean, you can't get on Facebook, you can't get on all these other sites without a special way to get on them.
Internet magic trick.
With an internet magic trick.
That shall not be named.
Right. Which, yeah, exactly. You can't really say what it is. Moving on. So, but actually for me, it's been very freeing because I think it's also this certain type of people that move here from abroad and just live here in general are just people who don't really care about what other people think. So you can kind of do whatever you want, say whatever you want. You can let your inner weirdo out on the outside, So the freedom part is the number one thing I like about Beijing.
Do you feel like and again, we were chatting about this and you just said it for everybody else. I mean, you came here when you came here. So your formative years as an adult on your own, I mean, it's been here.
Yeah.
So do you feel, how have you transformed? How has your personality, sort of evolved from, pre-Beijing to now? I
think before Beijing, I mean, I was always a bit outgoing, loud, funny, sarcastic, but also kind of like maybe a little bit concerned about what other people would think about me, a little bit anxious. It gave me some anxiety sometimes, and I would second guess, oh, should I say this? Should I do that? I'm not really sure. But now that I'm here, and maybe it's just a part of like growing older, but now that I'm here, I don't really have that feeling anymore, and I'm very comfortable with who I am. I've done a lot of weird stuff that I'm not ashamed about. I see you looking at me like. No, I'm
wondering what you're going to say. I'm wondering what you're going to reveal or what I should ask. That's okay. That's what we get out of that. So that's fine. That's fine. Because your mom might listen to this.
No, she won't. She doesn't know how technology works.
Oh, no,
she does. I'm just kidding. Anne, this one's for you. Shout out to Anne.
Oh, hi, Anne.
Hi, Anne.
Hi, Anne. So you came to Beijing. Have you traveled or lived or worked anywhere else really, or has this been sort of just home base from the beginning?
I mean, I've traveled a couple of different places in China, but mostly just based out of Beijing. Yeah.
What do you do? I mean, the nature of do you have like a work? Do you have to travel for visa stuff, or are you here full time?
No, actually, I just got, because our company is, fully legit and everything. I just got a 2-year work visa.
Score.
So I'm good until 2020.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So in terms of talking about what people, back home, quote unquote, think, and of course, now this is home, but like the previous home, what do you tell people about this for you? What's it about what it means to you? Or do they notice things without you having to say anything?
I don't know. They used to ask me kind of like, what are you doing here? What do you like so much about it? When are you coming back home? And it's always been so hard for me to explain, maybe very clearly. So they've kind of stopped asking, and they more just accept the fact that I'm here, and, they'll ask how I'm doing and what I've been getting up to. But, mostly that's it. That's how it goes.
So in addition to your budding nut butter enterprise, what do you like to do here in Beijing? Like what's your life like? Paint a picture for folks who aren't here.
Paint a picture.
Yeah. What's it like?
It's 6 a.m. and it's still dark outside because it's quite cold. I just wake up. I don't need any snooze button because I always wake up on the first alarm. Wow. And then I push my little dog over a little bit, and I get up and I go to the bathroom. While I'm in the bathroom, I check Instagram. Should I go into this level of detail?
I was going to say, this is maybe a little more granular than we need for the average listener, but I can always edit. So just, you do you.
No, they should know exactly what I do.
Yeah. I appreciate how literally you took that question.
Yeah.
By the way. Yeah, thank you for that.
It depends on the season. Now that it's winter, I'm trying to do more, not go out as much, but because of the nature of my work, I still have to go out to a lot of meetings and things like that. But typically I'll wake up, I exercise, we have an office in Sanlitun, Soho, but I like to work from home just because I like the light better in my room, and there's my dog.
There you go.
Yeah. So I do that. Maybe I'll go to a couple of meetings, at a hotel with a hotel partner.
Like, hi, my name is Meredith. Hi, Meredith.
Hi, Meredith.
Okay.
Yeah.
That kind of meeting?
Exactly. Yeah. That kind of meeting.
Okay.
Go 2 a day at least.
Sweet.
Keeps me on the straight and narrow. And then, I usually maybe meeting up with my partner, have lunch with a friend. I always like to, cycle around everywhere so I can get some fresh air, take my dog on a couple of walks, have dinner by myself or with friends. I know this is a very ambiguous answer.
No, it's the real answer, and it's good because it's painting a picture. It's painting a picture of a nice quality of life, actually.
Yeah, I think it's you know what? It seems more. I'm describing it as more relaxed than it is because I have a very high level of stress in my life, because kind of from the time that I'm waking up to the time that I go to sleep, probably similar to you, is I'm always working and I'm always thinking about work. Which for most of the time I enjoy, but that it's also a little bit hard. Maybe friends want to do something or something like that, and I can't really say yes all the time. So maybe I don't see my friends as much as I used to. But I do try to, I have lunch with one friend every single week. So I make sure to set time aside for that kind of thing. But my life mostly revolves around work now.
Well, you hit on something interesting that is, maybe it's not your story or actually even my story, but something we could talk about. What are some of the typical, there are a handful of sort of very generic categories people kind of fall into here, I think, in terms of the type of life they live. I mean, whether people have a very regimented job, and they might as well be back in Cleveland or wherever they are, or then you have the crazy adventures, the people who are never in the same place, and then you have people like you were sort of in the middle where you're doing a thing and you have a bit of a structure.
Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you feel like you're on? I mean, you have a partner in your business, but do you see other people who are in kind of parallel journeys to you who you relate to? Or
I do, yeah. Especially now that we're in the F&B industry. I mean, it's a lot of chefs and restaurant owners and people selling small craft jams and chutneys. They all are kind of in the same, what do I want to say, category that we are. So it's been interesting because when I first got here, I was an English teacher. So that was a very weird lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then I moved into a full-time 9-to-5 job. So that was a different lifestyle. And now I'm in this totally different lifestyle. So, throughout each lifestyle, I meet other people, and now I hang out with people who are in a similar environment than I am. Yeah.
What do you take away from, for instance, there's obviously the group that we're in together, although it's super, super, broad. It's not homogenous by any means. You have every kind of person imaginable, I think, in that group.
Except for non-Americans.
Well, right. That would be the qualifier. That would be the sign at the door. But what have you taken from this experience that you think you couldn't have had back home, besides the obvious, I'm in a different culture, but in terms of the kind of people you're surrounded by here? It's something I think about a lot, because again, you have to be some kind of a weirdo to want to do this in the first place.
Oh, for sure.
But within that really generic umbrella, there are lots and lots of flavors of special.
Lots of flavors of weird.
Yeah.
So what would you say? What was the question?
Well, I think the question was, that's just my voice I'm not trying to do a voice. That's my voice getting.
We go.
That's a secret. It's Jesus Christ. My actual voice is in here somewhere. Sorry about that.
There's two hosts. There's actually two hosts.
Wow,
this
that
podcast, and now we're on to the next host.
I feel like I have to cut this out because that's got to be so strange, but maybe it's comedy magic. I don't know.
I don't know. We'll find out.
Yeah, I think I'll have to cut that out. That's it. No one will want to come over here again. Jesus. Do you have any sense of how different your life is versus the original Plan A?
Yeah, for sure. Because even like in my small hometown, okay, not a lot of them will go on to college. Most of them will go into farming or beauticians, that kind of thing. But even, I went to school in Philly, and a lot of those people, a lot of my friends from there, doctors or teachers or whatever. But there's still, I don't know, there's a certain sense of like, not closed-mindedness, but just not knowing about everything else that's out there, because they live in the States, they live in one city, they go to work, they come home, they probably have like nice little dinner parties. And they're not really experiencing like this lifestyle where you can do pretty much whatever you want to do at any time of day or night. And it's just so freeing, and you're around these like-minded people where it's not uncommon to say like, oh, where are you going to on your next holiday? And I'm going to Japan, or I'm going to the Philippines or something like that. Like, it's so common to travel. It's such a dynamic city. And it's also dynamic in the way that you meet a lot of people who you become good friends with here, and then they leave. So back in the States, you probably have a solid group of friends for, however long if you stay in the same place,
Right.
But here you're always meeting new people, and you're always saying goodbye to really good friends. So it's in a way, it's like tough at first, but then it makes you really appreciate the people that you meet and the experiences that you have, because it's always just changing, and it's always so different.
So before we sort of wrap this up, something that struck me, and not to make it weird by pointing out the obvious too much, but again, you're naturally funny, and I get that you're not like trying too hard. You don't look like you're trying too hard to be funny. It's just a very natural thing, which is kind of awesome. And so have you done any performing before, or is this totally just like you're funny in the room?
No, I've never done any performing, but you know what? When I was young, actually forever and ever and ever, I was always like, someday when I grow up, I'm going to be an actress.
Okay.
So even now, if someone discovers me and they say, hey, you would be a great actress in this movie I've got going on, not porn.
Okay.
I would go skivvies, but I would not go nude.
Right. We've established that part. Yeah. For the sake of nut butter, anyway.
Like that, I think that's my life calling. I'm going to drop a bomb here.
That's okay. You heard it here first, folks. Meredith, it's really awesome to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And we will have to have you back soon. Mm-hmm. There has to be the appropriate social distance, but we have to have you back to learn what's next on another edition of Big Fish in the Milk Kingdom.
Big Fish in the Nut Butter Kingdom.
Sweet.
Got it.
Thanks.
Welcome.
All right, that's the show this week. Don't forget to find out more about Meredith and Naked Nut Butters. You can check out their WeChat official account if you have the WeChat, and if not, you can find out more on Instagram. They have an Instagram profile. You can also learn more about this podcast, Big Fish in the Middle Kingdom, at crazyinagoodway.com. Don't forget to check out How China Works when you have a chance. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you next time.